But I have to say to you, and I've been into the occupied area of northern Cyprus, and I've seen what has happened there. And it is heartbreaking, heartbreaking. And who is responsible for that? If one looks at the kind of issues, I am one of those people, Peter, who believes in evidence of goodwill. If someone were to come up to me and say, Tom, I wonder if you could do something for me, I'd say, yeah, okay. And then I do something willingly because they're a friend of mine. And then when I have an issue that I would like help on, I would look to that friend's evidence of goodwill to help me. But I have to say to all of you here, and I first went to Cyprus in October of 1974, and I went with a colleague who has been out of this house for many, many years, Norman Atkinson, the former Member of Parliament for Tottenham. Norman and I were the first two Labour MPs who had gone to Cyprus after the invasion. And it was heartbreaking to see what had happened there. But it is still heartbreaking, Peter, 34 years later, to see what is happening. Now, Alan and Rudy made reference to them. I cannot understand for 1 minute why there hasn't been a sizable reduction of Turkish troops. That would be evidence of goodwill. How many times have we talked about reopening and developing Famagusta? And where have we got? But wouldn't that be of enormous benefit to both Greek and Turkish Cypriots to reopen Famagusta? When you go over into the north and you see this enormous house building that is now taking place there, I don't believe the British government have any concerns about that at all. I raised this issue when Blair was the Prime Minister and I was still a member. Oh, we give instructions to people that if they're thinking of buying property in the north, they should make inquiries as to who owns the land, etc., etc. To me, my dear friends, it was meaningless because the government never ever used the influence that they had. What I would hope, and I go back and I wrote down the closing remarks that Peter made. And Peter, I totally agree with what you say. This is what you said. A settlement, a prize for all Cypriots to enjoy. And that sums it up. But I have to say, my dear friends, and there will be parliamentary colleagues who were dear friends when I was here, who wouldn't agree with me, but such as the bonds of friendship, you accept that. We have a lot of very, very difficult issues to resolve. Because those issues, if there is going to be a united Cyprus, where the communities really do live together and build their future, as I want to see it, many of these issues do have to be resolved. You cannot say, well, forget about them, one day we'll get around to them. Because deep in the hearts, Alan Mill mentioned about the desecration of churches and cemeteries. When I went into the north last year, after the Famagusta rally, I went and saw them. And it is heartbreaking, heartbreaking to see a cemetery, and all of us can relate to that, that your loved ones are buried, you go along and you pay respects to them and see the utter desecration of cemeteries and also churches. So I wish all Cypriots, be they Greek or be they Turkish, the future that I believe the island of Cyprus can give to Cypriots. And as I've said already, Peter, I welcome very, very much the presence of Turkish Cypriots here this evening. But I do say to you, my dear friends, you have got to open your mouths and say what kind of settlement you would like to see in Cyprus, because otherwise The influence will come, as it has for many, many years, from Ankara. And I think, as Rudy Viz and Alan said, and other speakers here this evening have said, the settlement must come from the people of Cyprus itself. And I wish you well, and I, as long as I am able, will always be willing to be with you and support you, because I feel the injustice you have suffered just as much as you feel it.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom-Cox was a member of Parliament for many, many years, very devoted to the cause of Cyprus, and he has been a great loss to Cyprus since he left the House of Commons, but he's still with us, and I'm grateful for that.